under fading skies. Tattered flags waving dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
What's going on, guys? Good evening and welcome to the podcast. It is Stateside Footy. I'm your boy Steve, checking in with you the day before the U.S. are set to play Turkiye to close out the group stages in what has been just an amazing World Cup up to this point. Listen, I just got really one thing to say to all those guys out there that, were suggesting this was going to be a terrible World Cup. Yeah, fools you are. Because this has been, just an extraordinary atmosphere here in the United States, much as I thought it was going to be. You got the Norwegian fans doing what Norwegian fans do, which is rowing imaginary Viking ships. You got Scots that are rollerblading in South Beach playing bagpipes. You got English that are amazed at Costco and Buc-ee's. And you got my drunk ass up in Seattle. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. Everybody is enjoying this World Cup. And as soon as the real World Cup begins in the round of 32, I am going to imagine it is going to be ramped up by another 100% because this thing is going to get absolutely legit as the U.S. continues to advance in this tournament, as England continues to advance. And we'll see about Scotland. We'll see how that goes. But you get what I'm saying. Like, this thing is going to get even ramped up just to a level that is going to rival some of the best World Cups I've ever seen. And of course, it's in the United States. And so we know exactly how to throw a party. A lot of people think that we're, a bunch of stuck up hoity-toity douchebags. That's not the case, man. When it's time for us to show out and it's time for us to party, man, we come correct. So it is what it is. But I'll tell you who else shows out. It's you guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and also hit the notification bell and show the channel some love. Of course, we hit a milestone. I'd like to hit another by the end of the World Cup. So it's all on you to make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It's free, but also make sure you share these videos as well, too, because, man, I'd like to get the show out into the ethos, although it's kind of already out there, though. But, it doesn't hurt for you guys to share. All right. Before we get into the pre-match buildup, there is a few things that I do want to talk about because this has been making its way around social media, and I think it's kind of important. And, of course, it involves Christian Pulisic, and that is that the City Football Group, take that off. It's kind of hot in here. The City Football Group has let it be known that they want to pay Christian Pulisic a boatload of money, an absolute boatload of money not to come to Manchester City, but to New York City FC in Major League Soccer. And we're talking like in the same stratosphere as one of the highest paid players in the game. So you're talking Messi, in the league. So you're talking Messi, you're talking Sonny. It's going to be that kind of money. But that being said, I look at this as a little bit of an insult. Now, let me rewind this really quick and just say that I do believe that it is Major League Soccer's, I guess you can say, motive to get the most popular U.S. men's national team players back in the United States post World Cup 2026. They did that before. World Cup 2014. Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore, Clint Dempsey. Everybody remembers that as this team was headed off to Brazil. And this would be a very interesting signing if Major League Soccer were to be able to pull it off. But that being said, you need two dance partners in order to make it happen. And to be honest with you, I don't think Christian Pulisic comes back to Major League Soccer right now. Because, listen, understand exactly what this kid is. He is, thank you, by the way. Shout out to my guy, Adrian, Spurs Diehards TTID. What's going on, Adrian? Hope you're doing well, and thank you for that compliment, by the way. Pulisic is 27, about to be 28. He is still in his prime, and it's not unreasonable to think that this prime will last into the 30s, 30, 31, which he will be heading into World Cup 2030. Excuse me. And there's no need for Christian Pulisic to come back now, considering that he's still playing at an all-time level. He still wants to stay at AC Milan. He still wants to be on a team that has a chance of competing in the Champions League. But let's just say for the context of this, let's just say that he was supposedly going to run down his contract at Milan. It's got one more year left on it. Let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, that a deal couldn't be reached and he winds it down. There is going to be 6 or 7 teams around Europe that are going to want Christian Pulisic. And I'm sure there's going to be teams in England that are going to want him. I'm sure there's going to be teams in Germany that would be interested in getting Christian Pulisic, maybe his former team, Borussia Dortmund. And there are much better options for Christian Pulisic to chase down something that he's only been able to chase down once, which is a Champions League title. That's very important to him. As of right now, it makes absolutely no sense. Because understand, man, he's not married. He doesn't have a family. This isn't Tim Ream coming back because they got young kids and a wife and they want to be close to the family. This isn't Josh Sargent. This isn't that. This isn't Clint Dempsey. You're talking about a 27-year-old kid who is a millionaire footballer playing in the fashion capital of Europe where there is nothing but young, hot ladies at his disposal. There is no need for him to come back to Major League Soccer right now. That's not to say that it won't happen. But could I imagine Christian Pulisic coming back at 32, maybe playing anywhere between, maybe 2 to 3 years to close out his career? Of course. Sure. Because that is the playbook right now. That is the playbook for Major League Soccer. It is a league that is a seller's league for young talent, but it's also a retirement league still. And that is the playbook as it stands. So the idea that City Football Group would come at him with money to not join Manchester City, if you're a dude that won the Champions League, is the profile player for your national team, in your prime and you want him to go back to Major League Soccer, I'm sorry, that's kind of an insult. If I'm Christian Pulisic, I kind of take it to I take it as an insult. If City Football Group want to pay me money, it better be to play for Manchester City. Me personally, I don't think that's a great fit for Christian. You know, he's gonna get stuck in a rotation there in Manchester. But that being said, there are plenty of other clubs in England that he would be an absolute fit, would be an absolute star, and he would absolutely thrive in the Premier League. But that being said, you know, I actually think that the interesting thing about this is, you know, Milan is probably the right club for him. There's also a shout that Borussia Dortmund would be a good club for him to return to as well too, because that team is also a Champions League team as well. And of course, that is a historically, even when he was coming in, is always a team that's going to have the best young talent around. And you know, they mix in the right veterans. That is a team that is going to be able to compete. So they're, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the idea that Christian Pulisic is going to return to Major League Soccer after the World Cup because he misses his family, blah, 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 blah. There's no chance. There's no chance that he comes back now. But he will. He will. He will. He will. Just not yet. Just not yet. But it's interesting, though. It's an interesting conversation that I find funny, especially those that cover Major League Soccer, that are salivating at the mouth for the idea of Christian Pulisic coming back. You know, NYCFC is set to open up their new stadium, and you can understand why that's appealing, because he would be the showcase piece when they unveil the new stadium. I get it. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect business sense if you're NYCFC. But from a soccer sense, no, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. This is not the time. Let's see. Spurs diehards TTIC says watching Brazil beating Scotland 3-0. And yeah, by the way, Adrian, I was hyped for Scotland Brazil. I really was, because this was like the quintessential banana skin type of game where you can understand if Brazil was overlooking Scotland. Makes sense. And I don't know, like there was an outside chance where, you know, Scotland would just be themselves, play their game, and we were going to have one of those 0-0, 1-1 type of matches late into the match, and then Scotland made the first mistake. You know, Vinny punishes them, and then it's off to the races at that stage, and it's like, oh, okay, it's Brazil. It's Brazil. They weren't overlooking anyone. It's amazing. It's amazing how quick Brazil went up and how quickly Scotland got buried. And it just happened. Patrick Agyemang clears Pulisic. You are retarded. You are absolutely retarded. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, because it is the pre-match buildup, the USA versus Turkiye. And of course, the interesting thing is there's a lot of people that have this belief that this is a meaningless game. The U.S. has already wrapped up Group D. There really isn't much to play for, except for, you know, keeping bodies healthy for the round of 32. That includes Christian Pulisic. And I actually see it. The other way. Not that I expect to see this team go full strength, because I don't see that happening. We have 4 guys that are on yellow cards, so there is going to be some rotation. But I said this a couple nights ago that there is a need to keep some competitive balance on this team, because this is still a winnable game. And when you look at Turkiye in their first 2 matches, not only have they looked disjointed, they look uncomfortable on the pitch, and they were able to essentially get run over by 2 teams that, quite frankly, had no business running over them. This is a Turkiye team that did themselves very well in Euro 2024. And as far as these 2 teams, we saw them last year in the United States pre-Gold Cup. And yeah, they ended up winning 2-1. But, that was it. They still look like a team that was destined for the second round, destined to get out of the knockout, into the knockout rounds at this World Cup. And it just didn't happen. They got, they're, essentially eliminated at this stage. Actually, let's take that back. They are eliminated at this stage. And so for this conversation, you would probably assume that Turkiye are looking to at least go home with some positive vibes, looking to potentially get 3 points from this one. And so me personally, I expect Turkiye to go full strength in this one. There's no reason why they shouldn't, unless, by the way, this is an opportunity for them not to play a guy like Arda Güler, because Real Madrid, maybe there was something in place prior to the tournament. Same thing with Kenan Yildiz. But that being said, it's the World Cup. It's something completely different. And as long as you're wearing your national team, there is that reasonable expectation that you are going to play. And in this one, especially when you're trying to save face after 2 humiliating defeats, I would probably assume that they're going to go full strength. For the United States, it's a little bit differently. Let me go ahead and pull this one up. And this is my starting lineup for the United States. And again, a sense of balance with rotation. Here. And I do have Matt Freese starting in goal, because at this stage, there's no need to make a switch. There is a thought that maybe this might be an opportunity to play a guy like Matt Turner. But that being said, if you are rotating out Chris Richards and you're playing a guy like Mark McKenzie, you kind of want some stability between the sticks, right? So Matt Freese for me comes back into this one. A back three of Alex Freeman, Mark McKenzie, and Tim Ream, and of course Tim Ream will wear the captain's armband in this one. A midfield four of Serginho Dest and Max Arfston off the outside, because again, Jedi's got the yellow card, and so this is an opportunity to rotate. A midfield two of Weston McKennie and Sebastian Berhalter. And of course, an attacking three that does field Christian Pulisic and Malik Tillman, because again, Christian Pulisic needs minutes in this match, and we're going to get into that in just a second. And Ricardo Pepi up top, and that is my starting 11. But that being said, it's not going to be out of the realm of possibility to think that Balogun is going to be in rotation, that Tyler Adams can potentially be in rotation. Same thing with Jedi. Same thing with Chris Richards, because again, Mauricio Pochettino is not the type of dude that is going to lay down. He's not going to be the type of guy who is, he's not going to roll over easy. If there is an opportunity to win a match, especially a match that would give the United States a historic win, 3-for-3 in the group stages, which has never been done, that is probably something he's probably going to achieve, which is why I think he's going to actually play a certain amount of starters that we have already seen featured at this stage. But the other thing that I also think is important is the fact that this game now, this international game, is no longer about pragmatism, at least in my opinion, because it used to be. It used to be about the team that was solid at the back. It was about the team that was, far more organized, but still was being able to get forward, still being able to score goals. And now it is about the midfield, and now it is all about goal scoring prowess. When you look at the best teams in the world, what do they actually all have in common? They have great midfielders, and they have a great ability to put the ball in the back of the net. And that is something that is very important to Mauricio Pochettino. It is actually having that consistency through the middle that makes his engine go. And that is something that I don't think he's going to be able to sacrifice, because let's be perfectly honest. Outside of Weston McKennie and Sebastian Berhalter, you have Tyler Adams and you have Christian Roldan, who, by the way, is out. So the United States really only have 3 natural midfielders on this roster for this one. And if anything should happen between Berhalter and McKennie, Tyler Adams is going to be forced to come into this game. You do have a little bit of better options higher up as you go. You don't necessarily have to put Balogun in because you do have a Haji Wright and you do have a Gio Reyna and a Brendan Aronson. So you actually do have a little bit more flexibility the higher up. But the more that you rotate with those guys, the less opportunity that you have to score goals. And that is the name of the game, being able to score goals and being able to have that consistency to operate through the middle of the pitch. And that is why Weston McKennie plays this game. You're going to need that link up play from the middle of the pitch all the way forward. And that's the reason why I have Tim Ream and Alex Freeman as well, too, because the U.S. likes to play the ball long as well, too. And if you're telling me that you're going to rotate in Miles Robinson, you're not going to be able to have that off the right side. You probably do have it with Austin Trusty off the left, but that being said, there has been nothing that leads me to believe that Tim Ream won't be in this match. Whatsoever. So from that standpoint, this is the lineup that I have. It's the lineup that makes sense. And it also gives us the best opportunity to put Turkey down for good. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. This is the best lineup that offers us the best opportunity to win. And it does somewhat mask a little bit of some of the deficiencies. It allows Max Arfson to go forward. And you don't necessarily have to rely on it. Although I will say that off the right-hand side for Turkiye, you're going to have to deal with Arda Güler. And that is probably going to be the problem area right here. Because it is the combination of a guy like Max Arfson and Tim Ream trying to step in and close distance on a guy like Arda Güler, only for him to do something absolutely magical and play one from outside the 18, and all of a sudden we're down 1-0. 100%. Let's see. Wes Puller. Hey, Steve. Hope you're doing well. Free football tomorrow. Yes, football is free. TG Davies, Tim Ream should retire. I would probably agree with that. I would probably agree with that statement as well, too. And I would probably assume this is his last major tournament in U.S. shirt. Last major tournament. But yeah, the thing about playing Christian is you absolutely have to, because you have to maintain a semblance of continuity and rhythm. If you bench him tomorrow, that'll be 3 weeks between matches, and that's something you absolutely cannot do with Christian. He absolutely needs to grab some sort of minutes. By his own mouth, he says that he's 100%. He says that he's ready to go, and if that's the case, you play him. You play him. Now, do you play him a full 90? Probably not. Can you play a full half to 60 minutes? Yeah, you can. And you actually have a little bit more depth up in the attacking three, where a Gio Reyna or a Brendan Aronson or an Alex and Dejas can come in if that's something that you want to do. And hopefully by that stage, when we're absolutely ready to take Christian out of the game, we're leading 2-0. But this is a game where he has to play. You have to make sure that your best players are ready for the round of 32. And I understand there's a risk. There's an injury risk, but you take that risk every single time you play you play a game of football. Every single time you step between the white lines, you take that risk. Whether it's in the Premier League or the Championship or Major League Soccer or in the World Cup, those are the facts. You're going to take a risk. But that being said, Christian has that knack of being able to take care of himself. But it is what it is. That's the risk that you take. But you can isolate the best minutes for Christian and try to do your best to keep him out of harm's way. But it is what it is, man. You take that risk every single time you step between the white lines. So it is what it is. All right, let's take a look at Turkey. And this is the lineup that I think that they should play. And I don't know why they didn't utilize Kenan Yildiz a little bit more, but I got him in my starting 11. I have Turkiye lining up in a 4-2-3-1. And I got Ergukan Kasir, Shakir in net. Of course, he's the 30-year-old that plays for Galatasaray. A back four of Shalik and Kodioglu, and of course Kodioglu plays for Brighton in the Premier League. Actually, a pretty good left back for Brighton. I've actually always been a big fan of his ability to pass, but also his ability to play balls in the box is something that I've always appreciated. Hasn't had the greatest World Cup so far, but that being said, still pretty quality. Still a very good quality left back in the Premier League. Center back pairing of Mare Demiral and Bardashi, Abdullah Karim Bardaki, who I believe plays for Galatasaray. Let's see, a midfield two of Ismail Yukeshik, and let's see, this other guy right here, Hakan Kanaglu, who plays for Inter. And of course, I have him wearing the captain's armband. And an attacking four with Arda Güler off the right. I have Kenan Yildiz at the 10. I have Baris Alpar Yilmaz off the left-hand side. And up top, I have Karim Artukorglu, who also plays for Fenerbahce. And, that is full-strength Turkey right there. Two of the best young attackers in Europe right now, Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz, and a nice little combination of Fenerbahce and Galatasaray. So there you go. But yeah, you're right. This message right here from West Polar 365 says Turkey able looking to save face. It should be an interesting match. I completely agree with that. And the last thing that this country wants is to go back to Turkey 0-3 and just, especially in an expanded World Cup, right? You don't want to be that team that goes home empty-handed. It could very well be that. But I 100% agree with you, Wes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that's why tomorrow cannot be a match where the US just is like, all right, we're going to rotate 10. It's like, it doesn't work that way. It absolutely doesn't work that way, nor should it work that way. How many times? Listen, man, I've seen Spurs do that, and it never really works out the way that it's drawn up, because there's certain levels to this, and while we do have that depth, there's levels. Our starters are infinitely night and day better than what we have coming back from it. It's not to say that we don't have guys off the bench that can't do a job. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, there is something about continuity and chemistry that has already been developed with those 11 starters. And to heavily rotate in that type of magnitude. I mean, this isn't a friendly. This isn't. You're not playing friendlies in October and November where you can feasibly do something that ridiculous. This is a World Cup, right? There has to be some sense of continuity within the ranks of this team, and to radically change it would be disastrous. Let's see. We have FTM says, did you see that Balogun might be off to Sunderland? That would be a great get for the Black Cats, man. That would be a fantastic get for the Black Cats. And not only does it make sense for Monaco, because they will get what they're asking, but I think it also makes sense for Regis Labrie and Sunderland. And considering one of the things that I guess it makes sense in a vacuum, because you're coming in and there's a good chance that you're coming in as being the starting 9. But correct me if I'm wrong, they still have Brian Broby, right? And the question, yeah, they do. Brian Broby is still there. And the question really is how are they going to juggle those minutes? And does Sunderland have let's see. If they have European play, that makes sense. Are they in the Europa League? Yeah, they are. Okay, yeah. So there you go. So they have essentially qualified for the Europa League. So they will have European play next year. And that would probably help quite a bit because then you're able to rotate. Both strikers are going to be able to get the minutes that they absolutely need. And so from that standpoint, yeah, I can see why that makes sense. But it's a good fit too. Just when you're talking about a big club like Sunderland, me personally, I think they're excellently coached. I actually think their leadership is actually pretty good, and that would be a good move for them. But also, somebody did mention it. Somebody did mention this. Yeah, interesting. I would have liked him at Spurs, 100%. 100%. Spurs need a striker, and you're talking about a guy that had 20 goal contributions over all competitions last year in Monaco, and I think he did it the year before as well too. And he's ready. He is absolutely ready to make that move to a big club in the Premier League. Yeah, it's true. Do they have a? Yeah, you're probably right. They probably do have a selling clause, Wes. You're probably right. Which means Spurs would have to pay the rival. That may or may not stop them from doing it, but 100%. And when you look at the striker market across Europe, it's not exactly it's not exactly lighting the world on fire right now. And so when you have an opportunity to bring in a guy like Flo Balogun, especially at that price point as well too, considering the World Cup that he's had, that's a great price point to bring in a guy like Flo Balogun, without a doubt. But Sunderland's a good shout, man. I know that it was Sunderland. I heard Everton, and who else did I hear? It was Sunderland, Everton, and one other team that's escaping me right now that has closely monitored Flo Balogun to bring him to the Premier League. I know that Liverpool and Manchester United are looking at Tyler Adams right now, and I think either would be a great landing spot for Tyler. And I think he's absolutely earned the right to move to a big club. But that being said, man, Bournemouth would be that would leave a huge hole in Bournemouth's midfield if they ended up selling Tyler Adams to one of those two clubs. Yep, that's the rumor. Now, whether or not either that he lands at those two clubs, yet to be seen. But you get one of the best sixes in the Premier Leagues. So, what's going on, Zegex07? Yo, hope you're doing well, guy. Okay, whatever you say, bud. So there's going to be plenty of movement for some of our best players this upcoming transfer window. As soon as the World Cup is expired, players are going to be on the move, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly how some of these players move. There actually was some movement today from a member of the U.S. men's national team, and that was Kevin Parise. As his contract expired with Wolfsburg, and now he's landed in the Dutch Eredivisie with FC Utrecht. And I like this move for him. Not that he is incapable of playing in the Bundesliga, but the last couple seasons, especially since we last saw him in a U.S. shirt, which was in the Olympics, in 2024. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, and he just hasn't been able to stay fit. But he did come back at the end of the year for Wolfsburg, and now he's going to a team that is a very good team to put yourself into a shop window in a league where just a couple seasons ago, I believe Utrecht finished third. That was the 2 seasons ago, as a matter of fact, and that was the year that Paxton Aronson was playing for FC Utrecht on loan from Frankfurt, and he put together one of his best seasons of his career. So, for as far as I'm concerned, this is exactly the type of move for a guy like Kevin Paredes, not just to resurrect his year, but also to put himself in the shop window for a potential move to maybe back to a bigger club, but also for the national team as well too. There's been a lot of people wondering when that breakthrough for Paredes with the national team is going to be, and it's just been down to health. It's not even that. It's not even that. It's just the funny thing about British folks is that even in the midst of having a terrible game against Ghana, they still just want to just it's all good. But yeah, that is some good news for Paredes. So let's see. How far do you see us going? I got us going to the quarterfinal as of right now. But you never know. That's the beautiful thing about the World Cup. Stranger things have happened. But who do you got? Mexico versus Czechia? Who do you think I got? Paredes. You know what? You have to be an insane asshole to come on a chat. That's like loser. That's loser activity, bud. It's so funny though. Oh my God, you're mispronouncing him. Who cares? You know exactly who I'm talking about, and I'm not really that far off. Czechia 1-0. You actually have That's funny. Czechia. Chances are pretty good Mexico probably wins that match. Yeah, and by the way, I'm not rooting for other CONCACAF teams. I'm really not. And it's funny because, the common comment I hear is that, having CONCACAF teams do well is great for the Confederation, blah, 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 raises the profile, whatever the case may be. And it's like, that's cool, but it's not my responsibility to root for Mexico, Canada, Haiti, Curacao, Panama. It's not my responsibility. That is the responsibility of their fans. Me? Yeah, well, that's funny. You guys didn't want to win either, so whatever. That's it. Yeah, like it's just not my it's not my thing. Thoughts on Matthias Cunha? Yeah, he plays for United. Whatever. Let's see. Adrian says no team plays well every game at a competition. Usually, a team that starts really well never wins it. Yeah, and that's why you hear those. That's why you hear the greats like Glenn Hoddle. I just actually saw a good interview with Glenn Hoddle today, and he's been consistent when he says like these are and it's not just him too. You listen to anybody that has coached internationally or that has been in and around the international game for the last 30 years will tell you the same thing, where it is really just about growing into the tournament. It's not the team that starts quick. It's the team that kind of builds into it, that gains that momentum, especially in the mid portion of the tournament, round of 32, round of 16. That really sets them up for a quarterfinal, semifinal type of run. Which is interesting because when England drew Ghana, to me it wasn't that big of a deal. It really wasn't, because England is not necessarily trying to set themselves up to win, like to dominate the groups. It's not about that. It's to win the tournament. And it is what it is. Would they have liked to have that game? Of course, but England's an extremely talented team, and they're going to be one of the final 8 teams, and it's building that momentum until you get to that till you get to that point when you start facing teams that are either equal to or better. And it's the same thing with the United States. The exact same thing with the United States. Let's see. Wayne Bonner, what's going on, my guy? Morning, good evening, folks. Hope you're well. Good to see you, Wayne. Good to see you, Wayne. Oh yeah, Isator from Haiti had one of the best goals. I did see that. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you're right. They all drop a point with flat draws. Agreed. Yep. Argentina lost their first game to Saudi last World Cup, 100%. Let's see. Spurs had a sports psychologist in Hoddle's day. I wonder if international teams use one. I do know that the U.S. actually has one. They do have a sports psychologist. It's going to be interesting, man. England's going out, Scotland's going out, and England's on the piss. That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think everyone does. I think everybody has one as well too. England will smoke Panama. That's kind of an understatement. Yeah, who's hating, by the way? I like England. Yeah. Anyway, it's funny. What am I drinking? M8? No. I'm drinking a lemon sparkling water because it's delicious. Jaden the man in the chat. What's going on, Jaden? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, everybody's got a sports psychologist nowadays. But that is the balance. That is the balance that Pochettino has to face, right? It's peaking too early versus building that momentum for the knockout rounds. But that being said, and I touched on this just a little bit ago, that's the biggest problem with the United States is the starting 11 is good. The starting 11's got class. It's got talent. And the subs are good as well too, but to the level of if you wanted to heavily rotate it, would you still be able to keep that competitive balance? And the answer is no. That's the truth with it. Because now you're trying to have to mix and match. Now you're trying to have to piece together a starting 11 that may or may not fit. Or relying on guys that just haven't necessarily done it with the national team in a long time. So, for instance, like let's just say that they decide to sit Christian tomorrow. Who are you going to play? Brendan Aronson? And I like Brendan. Good Leeds boy. He's a good lad from Leeds. But he hasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't scored since the Gold Cup last summer. It's been a while since Brendan's been on the score sheet, let alone played significant minutes where you can actually look at it and say, that's somebody that you're going to be able to entrust. I have a hard time believing it. Same thing with Gio Reyna. Yeah, I know Gio scored in the first game late, but he hasn't played regularly with this national team. It's actually been quite a long time since Gio's gotten regular minutes with the national team. Outside of the friendlies, kind of leading in since the November friendlies, he was kind of used in March. So from that standpoint, there is I would say that for the U.S. there is incentive to play certain guys because you're going to have not just leadership, but you're going to have guys out there that can score. scoring goals is vastly important to this national team. That's what the international game is now. It's about strong midfield play, and it's about being able to put the ball in the back of the net. When I think about England's midfield three and their striker, it's like that's world class. Same thing with France. Same thing with Spain. It's world class across the board. Now, again, I'm not going to sit there and put the United States in that category, but for the United States, this is actually the best midfield we've had in a World Cup. This is the best forward class that we've ever had in a World Cup. And one of the things that I don't want to see is a massive drop-off in this game. But that being said, again, there is a balance here. And it's a balance that I hope Mauricio Pochettino can get right. That is something that I'm very interested in looking to see what that starting lineup is tomorrow. So, let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's see. I'm watching games and highlights, but I'm not getting excited. I probably will when we reach the last 16. That's fair, Adrian. By the way, the Spurs have reached an agreement with West Ham for Fernandez. All right, man. We're getting West Ham cast-offs. Nothing says we're climbing the table than getting a bunch of West Ham's cast-offs. And it's not even the right cast-off. Well, that's interesting. If England can beat the USA generally with the players that we left home, then why hasn't England ever beaten us in a World Cup match? Beaten us in the World Cup? I don't know. Would rather have grabbed Somerville. I would have actually preferred Jared Bowen, but maybe that's just me. But I don't know. Let's see. Oh, we have Nateski. What's up, Nateski in the house? RAFC TID, man. Rhode Island FC till I die. What's going on, my friend? Nateski. Let's see. Premium YouTube 5853 says Team USA need to enjoy themselves more because they won't stand a chance against any Euro side. Any Euro side? Like any Euro side? You want to retract that? Any Euro side. Okay. So you're saying we can't beat Sweden. Or we can't beat Czechia. We can't beat Bosnia? Any Euro side? I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. Not sure what to make of the Fernandez thing, if it's not a good move or not. It's West Ham cast-offs, my guy. All right, I appreciate that, Adrian. I'll take a look at that. Let's see. I like the knockouts where smaller and lesser teams give it a go, like a good upset. Yeah, I do too. That's what makes the World Cup. That's what makes the World Cup special. I like what Nateski says here. Replace the yellow card people. Just random dudes that are just yellow card. There you go. Yellow. Anyway, I guess I'm a random yellow card person. Why is the USA trying to run the game in quarters? We're not. We didn't have anything to do with the hydration breaks. Take your beef up with FIFA. All right. USA could reach the quarters, but no chance after that. I would like to think that the US would give it a go. We are but again, it's FIFA. It's FIFA negotiating contracts with American television companies. The US government had absolutely nothing to do with hydration breaks. Viva España! I love it. Red card for Messi, shouldn't have played this last game. I happen to agree with you. One thing I hate, I could care less if you don't like, I don't care if you like the football versus soccer thing. It is what it is. How did you feel about Ghana's 10 defenders? I thought they did a great job. England tried. England tried. I see us getting the quarters. Semis is our ceiling. A lot has to happen for us to get to a semi. But I'll finish this out by saying that I do see a path for the USA. And again, what I like about this team is that it is the deepest team that we've ever taken into a World Cup. When I look at the midfield three in 2022 versus the midfield three in 2026, it's night and day. The way that we attack, the way that we press, the way that our strikers are deep, the fact that we go too deep at the 210 positions, and the midfield pairing of McKennie and Adams. Not only does it provide a link-up play, but it also allows Weston McKennie to basically roam, and gives them the freedom to attack the box late if necessary. Like Mauricio Pochettino has given him essentially the freedom to play high, to drop back, to do whatever Wes feels is absolutely needed. And when you have a rock playing off his back shoulder in Tyler Adams, you absolutely can have that free roll in the mid. The problem with the United States in 2022 was they didn't necessarily have a goal-scoring threat like they have now. They played the MMA midfield in 2002, Musa, McKennie, and Adams. And Wes wasn't Wes now. Wes was good, but Wes has evolved over the last 4 years to where when he's playing at Juventus, he's essentially a 10, but he was used as a primary striker at times. He was used as a right back. He was used as a box-to-box. And he played so exceptionally well at every position that he played with Juve. But when they made the coaching change for the second half this year, and he was a primary 10, he was one of the best midfielders in Italy for that second half of the season. He was absolutely on fire. And it's a little bit different than it was. And considering the way that Greg Berhalter was using him in 2022, we didn't have a goal-scoring threat from the midfield. Yunus Musa wasn't really that guy. Good player, but he wasn't really going to be that guy. And really, this was a team that was over-reliant on Christian Pulisic. We didn't have a primary target 9. Balogun wasn't a part of the national team in 2022. And, we started that World Cup against Wales with Josh Sargent as our primary 9 and Timmy Weah playing off the right. It was a team that was over-reliant on Christian Pulisic in 2022. In 2026, Christian doesn't have to carry the team because we do have Flo Balogun and we do have Ricardo Pepi, 2 guys that are scoring goals in the Champions League. It helps. Malik Tillman making a jump to Bayer Leverkusen. It helps. It gives this team a different dimension because when we actually play through the middle of the park and we actually have both tens shading underneath, attacking channels with the primary striker, and you have Weston McKennie doing what West does in central areas, we're essentially attacking 4 direct with essentially two wing backs that are crashing posts from either side. And depending on who's holding the ball it's going to be predicated at who's going to be crashing the back post. but we have different looks that we're going to be able to throw you, and this is like prototypical Maurizio Pochettino. This is what it looks like at a high level. And the interesting thing was, I think a lot of U.S. fans were kind of wondering what it was going to look like at a high level. We hadn't seen it. We really hadn't seen it, but we're seeing it now, and it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's a national team that it's a look that this national team has never played with, and it plays to the heart and the strength of this team. That's what has me excited about it. Now, the difference between the U.S. and England, U.S. and France, U.S. Spain, whatever the case may be, is those teams have dudes on their bench that are absolute killers that can go out and get you a goal if you need it. Well, not England versus Ghana, but you get what I'm saying. Too soon? No, I'm just messing with you guys. I'm messing with you guys. But that is the truth of those teams. They have dudes that can turn the game on a dime if you need them to. The U.S. doesn't have that. And as you get deeper into the knockout rounds, this game becomes not about the players that start the game. It's about the players that finish the game and who comes on and whether or not your manager is going to be able to get those substitutes right. And I trust Pochettino to get that right, but who on our bench is going to be able to go grab us a goal if we absolutely need it? And that right now is the difference between a quarterfinal and a semifinal. That's the difference between a quarterfinal and a semifinal. Like, I don't have a problem with who we're going to play in the round of 32 or the round of 16. But once we get to that quarterfinal and we have to face a team like Spain, where if we come out and we play well and we're going into the second half and it's tied 1-1 or it's 0-0, and we get to that 65th, 70th minute, and Spain can go to their bench and bring somebody on that can literally change the game on a dime. And I'm looking at my bench, and who do I got? I got Gio Reyna, and I got Brendan Aronson, or I got Ricardo Pepi, Haji Wright, or I got Zendejas. And I said it earlier in the show, man, there are levels to this thing. There are levels to it. That is the difference between a quarterfinal and a semifinal. And that's really where I have the U.S. going out, is in the quarterfinal. This team is good enough to get there because the road to the quarterfinal is not going to be paved with upper echelon teams. They're going to be good teams, not great teams. But yeah. But that being said, it's like that is why we fall short in this tournament. Like, if we're being brutally honest about the US, there's a lot to be excited, and there's a lot to be excited for the 2030 edition as well too. Because the next wave of talent could be the best core of young talent to come into the national team that I've seen since I started watching this team in 89, 90. It's that good. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly what type of impact that we're going to see. But realistically, yeah, a quarterfinal makes the most sense. And that would be, for a home World Cup, getting 2 wins in the knockout rounds. Yeah, I think U.S. fans would be okay with that. I know, for like me personally, I'm not okay with that. I want to win this. I want to win this goddamn tournament. But all things considered, the fact that we had Maurizio Pochettino for only 18 months and not a full 4-year cycle, and to come away with a World Cup quarterfinal appearance, I think even some of the ardent curmudgeons of this fan base would be like, yeah, okay. We just ran into a team that was just truly better than us. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see. I think it's. I actually disagree with that comment. I really do. Yeah, that's yeah. The Australia result would make no difference to playing a European team. They play a defensive setup and formation. Exactly. No, that's not true. Australia beat Turkiye. What are you talking about? All right, we have history, fitness, investing, USA. What's going on? What do you think about the Norwegian national team? That's a fun team to watch, man. That's a fun team to watch. And listen, Erling Haaland is just words don't explain just exactly how gifted Erling Haaland is. Unbelievable. USA approaching 350 mil would be more than capable of producing a World Cup winning team. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But I think a lot of people seem to realize that we have only had a top flight since 1996. Like our top flight is like 30 years old, 31 years old. And when we talk about cultivating talent, we didn't really start getting academies until like the mid 2010s. You know what I mean? Like we're still in our infancy when it comes to the club game. Actually, rephrase that, the franchise game. Like we're still in our infancy. And what I like about what I'm seeing, it's not just in Major League Soccer, it's also in the USL, that we're sending talented youth players to Europe at a very high clip. They're coming through the MLS academies and they're getting sold. And I guess you can say it might be a detriment to MLS clubs because not a lot of those kids are making first teams, but I don't care because they're going overseas and they're going to continue their development, and then all of a sudden we're going to see them in first teams over in Europe. And when it comes to the national team, you kind of want your best players playing in the best leagues in the world. I don't know. But that being said, Adrian's right. It's like it should be capable of producing a World Cup winner. And, and who knows, maybe in the next 30 to 50 years, we'll see it. I personally think that we're going to see a semifinal within the next two World Cups because the progression of the talent that's coming into it has the potential to be generational. Now, of course, these young kids need to get moves overseas because they're currently playing in Major League Soccer, but, I digress. Australia is better than some are giving credit for. I agree with that, too. I was saying that coming into the tournament, without a doubt. I thought the U.S. versus Australia was going to be a banana skin game because it's not hard to overlook Australia. But once they beat Turkiye in the opener, we had no choice but to 100% focus on them. But we handled our business. But anyways, that is going to be it for me. My prediction for tomorrow, I'm going to go for a 3-1 U.S. victory, and that closes it out. 9 points, which would be a historic start to our World Cup. Then again, could I also see Turkiye being us 2-1? Sure. Or a 1-1 draw? Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. No, wouldn't surprise me. It's not that cheap. It's not that cheap. If you're trying to get your kid into a club travel team, you're going to be spending 10 grand just to get them into that team. Even MLS academies, some of them are pay to play. That's the biggest problem with youth development in this country, Adrian, is that it's pay to play. That's the biggest problem with it. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I want to say thank you. Tomorrow I will be back with the live stream at 10 o'clock Eastern. That would be like what, 3 o'clock UK time. Are any of you guys that are over in the UK are you guys gonna be up for the USA versus Turkey? Let me know. Let me know. By the way, if you said no, I wouldn't blame you, because I don't know. I don't know. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Take care. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Rusted goalposts under fading skies.